Hello, everybody, and welcome to a bit of a classic rendition of TalkAbout, if you will, where, if you remember way back when, I would pick out a news story and then talk about it. And that's what we're going to do here, because I want to talk about the fact that this rumored Oblivion remake is releasing sooner than you might think. And I'm going to be using the article from videogameschronicle.com as a jumping off point. If you recall, I mean, I don't need to rehash what TalkAbout is. It's back, and it's just, we're going to be very low key about TalkAbout. It's back, and I'm using this article as a jumping off point for the full on discussion that I want to talk about. Yeah, you guessed it. Okay, so the article reads as follows from VGC, as posted by Andy Robinson. Bethesda's Oblivion Unreal Engine 5 remake could be releasing sooner than you think. The Oblivion remake was first mentioned by an alleged developer back in 2023 before being named in a leaked court document the same year. Now, according to noted insider Nate the Hate, everyone out there should be very familiar with Nate the Hate, because the biggest thing that he had told the world about was when the Nintendo Switch 2 was going to be revealed, and so that was a pretty big deal to get that right. So Nate the Hate, very good track record. But back to the article. Now, according to noted insider Nate the Hate, the Oblivion remake is set for reveal in the coming weeks, a claim VGC has corroborated with our own sources. Nate claims the game will likely release before June, while sources have told VGC it could arrive as soon as next month. That is April, for those of you following along. The Oblivion remake is reportedly fully remade with Unreal Engine 5, with 6 reworked gameplay systems: stamina, sneaking, blocking, archery, hit reaction, and heads-up display. Improvements to the game's blocking system have reportedly been inspired by Souls-like games, while sneak icons are now highlighted in the new system, according to MP First. The stamina system was modified to be less frustrating for the player, making the knockdown that occurs when stamina is depleted more difficult to activate through changes in calculation methods, the publication claimed. The heads-up display was changed to make it easier to understand and more aesthetically appealing to young players. That is an interesting thing to say. Hit reactions were also added to improve the response to damage inflicted on the player and NPCs. Finally, archery was improved to make it more playable and modern in both third and first-person viewpoints. And that's pretty much all we really need as a jumping off point. I might even cut that down, because I don't know if we need the entire article as a jumping off point for that. But basically, what I wanted to talk about is the fact that, listen, I want an Oblivion remake. Absolutely. This is definitely something I want. I'll say it. I do think overall that Oblivion is a better game than Skyrim, and I don't know whether that is because I've put countless hours into Skyrim, so every time I hop into Oblivion to mess around, it's like, man, this is so refreshing. It might be that, or just because I think that the world of Oblivion is more classical fantasy as opposed to Skyrim's very dull colors and dark fantasy, but it's not that dark, you know what I mean? I just feel like Oblivion is a more uplifting, more classic fantasy that I can really get behind. And I appreciate more of the systems in Oblivion, like jumping to insane heights and stuff like that. But as excited as I am for this proposed remake of Oblivion, it better not be coming next month. I tell you that right now, because that, I feel like, would be a bad call for Team Xbox over there, because they have a very packed April already, with both South of Midnight and Clair Obscur Expedition 33 set to launch. Of course, Expedition 33 isn't like an Xbox developed game, but it is a game that is launching day and date on Game Pass. So I already thought it was weird that South of Midnight and Expedition 33 were both releasing in April for Game Pass, because that's not a great call, because in that case, if you wanted to play South of Midnight and Expedition 33, you would just get that 1 month and play them both. So, you know, I'm just thinking ahead, thinking in the mind of a business person. I would want people to get Game Pass for South of Midnight in April, and if it were up to me, I'd be like, hey, you guys over at Sandfall Entertainment, I believe, doing Expedition 33, maybe release in May. Does that sound? So that people have to pay for 2 months of Game Pass if they want to play both of those games, or even just in a way so that it's like, oh, we have a hit coming out every month, or a presumed hit. We're hoping all of these games are hits. We're hoping South of Midnight is a hit for April, and that Expedition 33 would be then a hit for May, and then Doom, you gotta push that to June and have that be the hit for June, and then maybe in July you can release this Oblivion remake. My issue with this game being rumored to release next month is that, yeah, it's already a packed month for Game Pass, and if you want people to spend more money on your subscription, you want people to stay active on the subscription, you want people to keep their subscription active, is what I'm trying to say. You gotta sparse these games out a little bit. You can't just be like, April is our biggest month, we have 3 games releasing in Game Pass. This is, of course, assuming Oblivion is releasing in Game Pass, and why wouldn't it? But yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It'd be so sick. It'd be so sick. But Microsoft, Xbox, Philly Phil, space these games out, dude. It just seems so insane to me to have April. I mean, it's rumored for April, so we're going to assume April. As early as next month is what the VGC report claims. And to say, oh, it's coming out in April alongside South of Midnight and Expedition 33. And then also next month is Doom Eternal, or not Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages. And then it's just like, wow, that's a very, very high impact 2 months here, I would say. And it's just like, why do that? Why do that? If anything, the reports also claim before June, because if anything, June would be perfect to be like, at the Xbox Games Summer Showcase, reveal this Oblivion remake, and then be like, hey, and guess what? It's out today, and get a big pop on that front, because people love a good old shadow drop day and day release, even though it's clearly like rumored, everyone knows it's coming. It'd still be very cool. That's my one gripe with this remake being reported for as early as next month. It's just already packed for Xbox, you know? April and May is already stacked. We don't need to stack that any further. But the second half of the year, now that Fable has been pushed out of 2025, it's just like, hey, why not slide Oblivion around that time, around the fall time? Because it'd be nice to have a pretty cool RPG, a remake of a beloved RPG out and about for people to play. And this is an Elder Scrolls game we're talking about. Sure, it is a remake, but the Elder Scrolls is a big deal. And everyone knows how long it's been since there's been a new Elder Scrolls. It's just been a long time. Real long time is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like this should get like a big pop of marketing, but based on how this is seemingly releasing very soon, sooner than you may think, it makes me feel like they aren't gonna be like, hey, look at this monumental video game. They're just gonna be like, hey, we remade Oblivion. Here it is. Enjoy it if you want to. But that's the thing. Now that we're done talking about the fact that it probably shouldn't come out this soon, and it should probably fill out some of Xbox's fall calendar, because what is this fall? I guess we'll probably find out what Xbox's fall is during the summer showcase, which I guess could be their plan all along, because I still don't believe that Outer Worlds 2 rather is going to be releasing this year. That'd be insane for Obsidian to release 2 of their RPGs in 1 year. Absurd. That'd be insane. But now let's talk about just the fact that we're getting an Oblivion remake. That's awesome. Like I mentioned at the top, I think Oblivion is overall better than Skyrim. I think it tells a better, more, that's the only way I can really describe it, is a more classical fantasy story where the world is ending because we're being invaded by pretty much just hell. And it's awesome. I replayed every Bethesda Game Studios game leading into Starfield from Oblivion on, which is not very many games, but still, I replayed Oblivion not too long ago, and that game kicks ass. And it'd be so sick to have that game fully remade in Unreal 5 is an interesting choice, because how does that affect the modability of the game with it not being in Bethesda's in-house creation engine? Because Oblivion, Skyrim, any Bethesda game really, they're very well known for just how often people mod them and just how many mods people put into these games. And I don't really know what the modability is for Unreal Engine 5 games. And that, I wonder how like the PC crowd feels about that, the modding community, how they feel about that. It is an interesting thing. And it's definitely not like a peek behind the curtain of Bethesda. This is being developed by Virtuos, as it is claimed. This isn't like a clue into anything that Elder Scrolls 6 would potentially be. Elder Scrolls 6 is very, very much still going to be on the creation engine because they've been working on that game for like a decade at this point, honestly. A long time ago. And the very early things that we've seen from that development is creation engine stuff. I remember when it was like they were putting the Skyrim grandma in the game and we could see her facial capture. I'll try to find the footage and put it above me right here. I think it's very cool that Oblivion is getting a remake. It definitely deserves it. It's one of the best games. Definitely think it deserves it because Skyrim was the runaway hit for Elder Scrolls. Like, people have known of the Elder Scrolls on a PC level with Morrowind and Daggerfall and Arena for that matter. Oblivion was really when it kind of started to spark a flame with console players, and Skyrim just set the world on fire completely. So it'd be very, very cool, I think, to finally have those newcomers to the franchise with Skyrim see what came before it. And honestly, I think, like I mentioned before, a lot of what makes Oblivion the better game, in my opinion, is the various systems that Skyrim sort of lost in an effort to quote unquote reach more mainstream audiences, as some people would say. I still think Skyrim is a very, very great RPG, but I do think Oblivion allowed for more interesting ways to play as opposed to Skyrim. And it was a much more closer to a hardcore experience with things like weapon durability, and the way your skills leveled was much different, and you actually had to like plan it out as opposed to just leveling up what you worked on. It was a whole thing. It's a very fun time, and I can't wait to see it modernized. So I hope that this remake is real, which everything is pointing to it being so. And I hope it doesn't come out so soon, because I cannot be playing South of Midnight, Expedition 33, Doom the Dark Ages, and Oblivion all in the span of 2 months. Something's gonna give, and it's gonna be my time schedule. Something's gonna give. And I don't know how I'm gonna play all of those games. And that's not even mentioning who God knows what else is coming out. We don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of games coming out, and please just space them out is all I beg of you. But yeah, that's it. That's really all I wanted to talk about. I kind of threw this video together quick because, the reports claim, this game could be revealed in the coming weeks. And I'm like, well, I got to jump on what I want to talk about when it comes to the Oblivion remake before it's revealed, because then that's a whole different to talk about what it looks like once it's revealed. But for now, I've said my piece on the rumors of this Oblivion remake and how I feel about it being very close, apparently. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button to prove it, and let me know what you think about the Oblivion remake, and if you're excited for it, if you think it's coming too soon, if you want it to maybe space out like I suggest. Let me know all of those things. And I didn't even touch up on the fact that it's fully remade. It's not just like an up-res, it's fully remade. But that is definitely more of a topic of conversation for when we actually see this game. And until then, until we do see this game, until the next video as well, stay safe and play some video games.